So hi guys, how are you? Let's go back to abductions. Kenya for abductions, or is it even every country now in East Africa? Now I think you saw the other day a Tanzanian was complaining to have been abducted. I don't know how true that was. Yeah. So it's Kenya for us. You can talk like this and the next moment you are lost. And you don't know whoever has picked you. But the common factor is that those people are picking people they are known because they pretend to be in civilian, but people know that they are the police. And it seems they are working for other people. Even though they are employed by the government, they are working for specific people. Now, why am I bringing this subject? I'm bringing this subject because recently, you know what happened with CS MUTURI. You know what he said? I hope you are common on social media. And it was so shocking for Kenyans, but that's what was expected. You remember when the Tawe guy stood in a funeral and indicated that the government is aware of what is happening? And of course, given that the president had owned up, now he had promised that he will work against that. So all of us were looking forward to it stopping. But the shock of the year was what CS MUTURI said. Now let's just have a short look at what he said and listen to whatever he said. And it's a shocking thing. You know, you cannot expect this to happen, but guys, nothing is impossible in this Kenya. Kenya for you, Kenya for me. So let's listen at this, and then after this I'll just have a very short reaction towards this, because this is the times.
Mwanawe kwenye simu alivyopigiwa na Rais William Ruto kumuuliza ikiwa anajua aliko Leslie Muturi na kumwagiza amwachilie Leslie papo kwa hapo. Mwanahabari wetu David Mudhoka anaangazia tukio hilo la kuogofya la mwezi Juni mwaka uliopita.
Siku mbili baada ya waziri wa utumishi wa umma Justin Muturi kushtumu serikali kwa kutokomesha utekaji nyara wa Wakenya, akiwemo mwanawe Leslie aliyetekwa nyara na kuachiliwa siku moja baadaye mwezi Juni mwaka uliopita, Muturi amemwaga mtama zaidi kuhusu kutekwa nyara kwa mwanawe. Katika taarifa ya kurasa 3 aliyoandika katika kituo cha polisi cha Kilimani leo mchana, Muturi amepasua mbari.
Yeah, so guys, if not shocking, what is this? I know very many Kenyans were shocked. They were perplexed. This is information they had been just suspecting, but then it comes from somebody from the government. And remember when CS Muturi said this, we had a lady who came out and began saying that he shouldn't be talking about this when he's in government. He should walk out first. Now, my question is, if this lady loses a child, like abduction that happened to Muturi's child, what will she say? You know, people think that you can control your kid because you are in government. Now, did the CS know actually that the son is involved in this, the demonstrations? You know, you cannot determine what your child actually does. When they are in the universities or institutions of higher learning, they make choices based on what their friends do. And they wouldn't want to look, you know, isolated, like because their father is this, so they don't go to this, because their mother is an MP or governor or whatever. So they'll automatically go to this demonstration, and then what? If it happens, now again, let's talk about social media. Recently, I heard somebody talking about watch out what your children will do, guide them, tell them not to post, I don't know what. Now, there is fun in what people do on social media. And sometimes trends come with whatever you post. So, I wonder if you will actually control a child and tell them, don't post this, don't create this. And some of them do this in the spirit of a mob. So, the crowd spirit. Yeah, so that's something that all of us have to understand, whether you agree or not, whether you want to say you know how to, you know, I heard Atwoli talking about talk to your children, let them have respect. He's lucky if his children don't do opposed to what he believes or what he tells them. But what I know about kids, not every child will abide by what you say. Obedience and loyalty is an expensive thing to do. And of course, you cannot expect that you will be a hero of a parent, and whatever you believe is what your children will do. Some of them are not even satisfied about what goes on in the houses or homes. So of course they rebel through doing such things. Now, let's go back to the story of the CS. Now, I don't know, some of you think it was wrong for him to say what he said. Some of you are saying it's right because now we know the truth. Now, people fear about his future after he said what he said. Now, you are not sure about what will happen next. Now, what worst do you think he will experience? He said he's not afraid that...
At my age, I'm not the kind of person to respond to some of it is really very perfunctory statement made by fairly inexperienced politicians. I think they're not worthy my response. So if anybody thinks that I don't know what I'm doing, then they are up for a rude shock.
Huku was
this age. I don't know whether he was just putting on a face of courage or it's true that he does not actually fear. But for him to have come up and said this, the only man who had said this earlier was Gachagua. Then Sifuna minced his words. He did not come out so clear. Then next we saw in a funeral, Tawe, that is the governor of Trans Nzoia. For those who know his name, you know. I'm talking about Natembeya here. And you heard what he said in a funeral. And once he said it, some naysayers, or rather bootlickers, had to shield the blame and put on him. And a lot of them, in fact, the most respected people like Atwoli stood up and they were up to arms to defend the president when he did not require any. He had not asked for anybody to defend him. You also look at, I remember Salasia, PK, had talked about the same, yeah? And who else? When we go to Kirinyaga, I think there is this lady who had talked about the same. Charity Nkilo at some point, then we saw Mother Karua. Mother Karua is also one person who talked about it. Now, Koome is not coming out so clear about things to do with abductions. I've done so many videos about abductions when we have lost our Oko and so many other people. And even the 6 who are released recently. Now, my question is, from what the CS is saying, the president is aware and is in charge. That is why his son was released after he got a direct one-to-one communication. Now, what about those people who have nothing to do with the president? Hey, that's my question now. Let's imagine a country where anything like social media... Atwoli said that social media is not even allowed in other countries, and I wonder whether he was proud about what happened in such countries. Now that he represents workers, does he feel like it's the right move to take? I also was looking at, was it Ichungwa and what he said later, you know, indicating that Natembeya had been in charge of the death situations in Yala, that he was also in charge of abductions. Okay, we've talked about that concept so much. I don't want to go back to it. Let it rest in peace. But the abductions that are going on, and especially the latest message from MUTURI is a blood curdling. Because if at all our president is aware of what is going on, and he can only release for the people who are high profile. Now, if a child of such a person was abducted, and he took a long time before he noticed what was happening. And because of his connections, he was able to save his son. Now, I'm wondering how many people have lost their kids because they don't have connection. They cannot call the president. They don't have, you know, like his message. Another irony of the year. The president indicating that his phone had, what? Huh? Something to do with the phone had crashed. How can a phone of a president crash because of the messages that he had received? So many messages on WhatsApp that it had crashed. That is the very humorous aspect that I got in this presentation by CS. Now, CS was like he's resigning and walking out, and he was not afraid. He said at his age, nothing worries him, and any upcoming politicians shouldn't threaten him because he's not scared, and he has there is no force. Like, there's no force behind him that is pushing him into what he said. Yeah? That he just felt he shouldn't continue keeping quiet when abductions are in the hands of high-profile people who should be guarding. So I just pray that if this is the truth that is happening, then it's better that the government stops what it's doing, and our president should adhere to the, because from Muturi's view, when the government got in, of course, they swore not to repeat what the previous regime was doing. Of course, we know what happened in the previous regime. So many people dying in the hands of politicians, people getting lost just like that. Yeah? So it shouldn't grow. This aspect shouldn't continue going on. Yeah, I don't know. I can't stop talking about this, and of course, this is something that all of us should denounce, no matter who. Because if you think you are conducting it and you are safe, I'm telling you, you are not. When you soil your hands on such activities, obviously it happens that there is a time you'll pay for it. There is nothing that goes around without coming around, or goes around without coming round. Yeah. So when you do such things, know that one day, one time, something will happen. You remember the other day, I know there is this, let me spare that for another video. Otherwise, I'm very, very happy for those who are continuing to subscribe. The number is moving up, and I really request you to keep sharing my videos, encourage me where possible, and maybe request me on topics that I've not talked about. Sometimes lack of time, but I'm going on. So bye bye for now, and if you've not subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing. Have a nice time. Bye bye.